Hello, this is the branch vlog for 0.2.2.6 relating to kicking off into, well, embarking into Act 1. Not so much creating all the levels, that's further on, that's on the next couple of branches, but getting everything ready to work beyond the confines of the original scope. So what I mean by that is, if I just show you on the left, Prologue, all the levels you've seen thus far are Prologue levels, Prologue and Prologue variants of those levels. Meanwhile, Act 1 has a variant of those levels, but the Act 1 version, and then I haven't done anything for Act 2 or Act 3 yet. But you see, originally all these levels were just put in here, in this main folder. This branch was focused on creating that split of, right, it's more than just a prologue, we need to diversify everything. So let's start at the top. Usual thing, I highlight so it's easier for me to timestamp it. Equipment does not disappear on restart/death. This was also a bug video. Every now and then I do a specific video related to when I fix the bugs, where I fix it side by side, so you can see my thought process for it. So the issue related to, let me just move that. The whole issue was game instance has a Boolean variant. Say new game, like, is it a new game? True, false. It starts as true, and then when you start the game, it gets set to false. I'm not going to click it just in case I forget to click it back. In the game instance side of it, and in like here, new game, so that checks for it, runs the main menu, and then that sets it to false. You see, so main menu, you've pressed play, so you've pressed play, main menu pops up, you've pressed play, great, false. When you die, main menu's new game was working like true false, updating appropriately, but the game instance's version of true false wasn't. And looking at the best place to do it, I decided to do it on death, seeing as we already reset the level struct, we stop the music, we go to main menu, but before going to main menu we also go, okay, so game instance, update the game instance, it is now new game true, and that fixes that. That true then wipes the rest of the values. Because that boolean is updated, this branch using that boolean works appropriately each begin play as expected now. Some doors not pointing to correct enum. Okay, so I shouldn't have a hyphen on that bug. Right. This bug will talk about something we're further going to discuss down here. Originally, you see on the level destination, old school way was strings. I've created a massive enum of every single level and its variant for Act 1, 2 and 3 and Prologue. It was a right faff. It just took so long. You know, when you can tell things are just not optimized to be like 40 rows in an enum, 40 variables, potential variables in the enum, but it's done. I changed that from string to E level, the enum, so E levels. Here we go. Look at that. That was not fun. So I did that, and as you can imagine, I didn't just change it in the door. Let me highlight it. I didn't just change it in the door, but I also changed it in everywhere else that references the string variant. So it was working fine, And the problem was, you see this let me get an example for you. You see this, and you go, you can't get an Enum version of it, and you can't go to Enum and all this sort of stuff. And if I get like the master, you'll see here that not on this one, I need to go to the door, the transition level that it feeds to. So you go through that door, that feeds variables into a transition level. The transition level is door transition. Don't save. I go to that button and I go to open level blueprint, not the door blueprint. You see this? You see that I get that enum and I cast it to string, then I cast that string to name. That works. But if you do that, that doesn't work because that feeds it a different freaking value. I think it has like e underscore or enum underscore or something like that appended to it. So as well as updating all the doors and thinking, right, okay, so I've updated all the doors appropriately with the correct level things. That's just a placeholder. But we go to the door, we go to the Prologue original level, don't save, updating each one. So if you look, get rid of that. You see that's goes to the bathroom, that goes to the hallway, it's an exit. Good, brilliant. But I needed to cast it to string and then string to name to then make it behave appropriately, that was an interesting thing to discover. Look at Sarah's dialogue. Yes. Communication, Sarah's dialogue. Right, look at this. That decreased credits, which is a functionality we've had for a long time, used to be there. You know, it's just if true and then feeds directly, the execute feeds directly into there, and then off the decrease credits, then feeds into add dialog. It was originally, I had it as a rand, but I didn't set a local variable. So it was a rand each time it was used, and I couldn't figure out why. Let me show you what I mean. It'll work now. Right, credits, bottom right, 5. Talk to her, hello, can you give me 2 credits? Yes. Watch the 5. Goes to 3. Do it again. 2. Yes. Goes to 1. Goes to 2. She'll say you broke. There we go. What was happening was rand didn't. It was a random variable each time, right? This thing runs twice. Runs to do this and then runs it again. I'll try and figure out on the fly, remember on the fly why it runs it twice, but that meant that 2 random value variables are coming out. So like 3 and the 7, 6 and 1, and I was like, these numbers don't make any sense. And then I was thinking like, it still doesn't make any sense because that number's 6. So why is more than 6 coming out? It was 2 issues. It was running it twice, so it was running a rand twice. So that meant not only did it look like the numbers weren't correct, like it was lying with the value that was coming out. It was also duplicating it by running it twice. Essentially, that's one issue I've just repeated myself. But so what I've done is I can set it to rand. I did have rand and then I set it here, but then I just set it to 2 for testing. I could put it back to rand if I want now because it'll feed into a local variable. Since updating to like, what was it, 5.5 or whatever, local variables now have that v. So you know they're local versus global. Local works only within this function if you're not already aware of that. I'm conscious that I'm trying to explain stuff. I want to kind of explain it properly. But we run this dialogue. As you saw, we talked to her. She said, thank you. We pass it through. We clear the dialogue. We close it. And there's some functionality here where I don't think I'll be able to find it on the fly. But I discovered that it runs it again twice, which wouldn't normally be a problem if you're setting stuff right at the end. Like you see here, I've set it right at the end. So I've closed the conversation, and then on this dialogue tree, where she said you have 2 credits, and we said yes, and said thank you. Technically, she gets it after she said thank you, not before now, because it's at the end of the conversation. But because it's at the end of the conversation, so it closes and then it decreases it, that means it only runs this decreased credits once. It's something to do with how it's being built. I half built this myself and half built it the tutor off a tutorial. It's a really cool way to do it. Like the thing you're seeing when I talk to them, realize I'm going on a tangent. This thing that pops up, this is mine. I'm pressing the keyboard keys now, so like numpad 1, normal number 2, the keyboard key interaction, things like that, and it passing through. That's all my doing. The visual side's all my doing. This sort of decreasing credits and integrating functionalities my doing, but the tutorial helped with like the master component and things like that, which this is a child of. So that fixes the credit logic. Thought I was going crazy because the number didn't add up, and it didn't add up for 2 reasons. Or that one reason, the rand, and then doing it rand twice. Add prefix to all levels. Yes, so you see all the prologues now have P, and all the act ones have A1. Tried to be clever and do it this way. So content levels like that. Doesn't like it. Something to do with the metadata. So you can see it's even created like the old versions of it. Unreal's a bit faffy with this level stuff, so I had to rename it within Unreal. Otherwise they disappear in Unreal even if they're present here. But also you can see these are there, but that's how it used to look before I said I migrated to the E level. But now it's like the there and the E level versions. The Enum variant is there, and same with this. It's Unreal's the problem, but the main thing is I had to change it in the editor, and as you can see here, it's like that. So if we go to like this, it'll probably look the same. Don't save. It will look the same for now because it's just a placeholder. Right. So let's go back to the initial level. Don't save. So to prefix it all, migrate door blueprints to use the enums. So yeah, you've seen that. If I crack it open, you see there's an enum there where it used to be a level. Now it feeds an enum going into the autosave, which is this one, and you now see the the level is an enum there, and how it saves it. Yeah, so that's like on the save, but then the save and load is the same thing. You can then see off the levels, John, also the protagonist blueprint itself is here. So you see that's changed from being a string to an enum. And then again with just like the master blueprints were appropriate, I just did that string to enum transition. Add prefix to all levels to define game stage for Act 2 and Act 3. That relates to... I haven't actually done that one. That's my fault. I'll fix that. Migrate stair blueprint to string instead of enums. Yes, just like the door, stairs are a child of the door, simply to harness its functionality. Go to lower, and then higher is a stairs hallway. Higher is a child of stairs hallway. Lower. Similar sort of setup. You see, I just repointed it. This is due to get upgraded. Unified. One of the things I want to do is like that's not even 3D, is it? That's the original. It's the original 2D style I created. Which, if you look a certain way, it does work, but obviously it's not going to work in 3D space. It's not going to look right. But yeah, migrated that to the enum. Remove redundant dispatches from inventory. Yes, when I was looking at like credits and things like that and decrease credits, I go in here, got update credits. Inside the update credits, which is open up the inventory, as you can see on the top, it had like event dispatches. Right, we'll talk proper old school, but real quick. Last year, I was trying to discover how to pass variables from one level to the other. I created a game instance and I created event dispatches for whenever, like, here we go, like your stamina's drained. Okay, so that's the current stamina, and then and then I'd feed it into an event dispatcher, and that event dispatcher would feed that stamina variable into the game instance. I'm pointing in the sky with my hands, not that you can see. I should really have like a picture-in-picture camera so you can see me talking. Same for stamina, same for stress, infection, health, and this is why you're probably noticing there's quite a lot of like space screen real estate for these. That's because they used to be like here and there. So yes, the inventory had old event dispatches, so I just clipped them. Don't need them. Pre-polish. So pre-polish is a version 3. Version 4 is like ready to go. I put as pre-polish essentially because I've just wiped max credits. I didn't want to put like a max credits clamp on anymore. You know, just one of those things. It felt like an unnecessary variable. I've still got it here, but it's not in the functionality. Migrate BP pickup actor current level from string to enum. Yes. Let's go this. Let's go edit blueprint. Pickup actor. See on the left, current level is now an E levels enum rather than string. I realized I haven't even put it down, but I've been waiting to mention it. You will see, like I said before, you can't do get current level enum. Well, you can because that's this variable, but you can't get the function to get you the current level outputting it in anything other than a string. And you know I said you couldn't do string to enum straightforwardly in blueprints. Well, in the game instance, I created my own function, so it gets the level string, which you can see. So get current level name, and then you'll notice that this is right off the back of it. Feeds in that string for each E level, for each enum variable in E level. So you know that giant list where the string version of that enum equals the string of the current level true, then that becomes the level. And that's how you see the input and output. That's how I managed to get an enum variant, an enum of the current level, where not possible normally. Annoyingly, you can do enum to string, but you can't do string to enum with like native functions. You could code it in C++, but then it looked like it would have inconsistencies trying to get C++ functions to work with blueprint functions, and I thought, you know what, I'll just do for each. So yeah, you'll see that being referenced in like here, straight off the back of creating and getting the string, feeding it, and it does what you'd expect if it was just get current level name Enum variant, if an Enum version of this existed. The only caveat being you need to have the game instance cast, which is fine because we cast the game instance before we get the current level anyway, so it's fine. And then I just did some like nice little tidy up bits. So upgrade health status. So I will showcase it at the end. I'm near the end now anyway. So we'll go in the widgets. You'll see in status. I thought I was looking at item detail, which I'll mention next, and I was thinking oh, there's all these item notification button things that I made, similar to the buttons you saw, like this, like them, similar to them, but item notifications rather than items underscore button. So I stumbled upon it and I thought, I've never actually implemented that, have I? So I put that there, and then off the back of that, I created a bind. So created a function and binded the function. The easiest way to do it, if you haven't done it before, is um, you see that, you click that, that'll create a bind. So it's already binded. So I'm not going to click it just in case it faffs with it. I'll just go through it this way. So then I was like, okay, cool. So we've already got this health percent and health percent, and then we have like the color in the text. So you know that text when you get damaged goes from like fine to caution to danger, and then the color changes like that. And I was thinking, well, why don't I just migrate it to using these? They're not even buttons, they just look like buttons, but they're like status flags. So I did that, and I tried to make it um like like loads of like branches. So like if greater than 100% health and less equal to 100% health, and then for like fine, and then caution is like less than 100% health and greater than 25% health, that sort of stuff. And I was like, nah, I don't like it. There's got to be an easier way to do it. So what I ended up doing was I used a select thing. Starting to use them more now rather than just like branches. I fed in the enum output, health status enum output, which is this. This just used to be fine, caution, danger. But now you see I've put in like kind of fine, like in Resident Evil when there's a different color of fine and there's a different color of caution, isn't there? I think there's a different color of danger maybe, but I've just called it critical. So you see I've fleshed it out with extra enums. If I double click onto that John blueprint, you will see, so where the health equals a max health, then you're fine. Else, 90 to 100% kind of fine, 75 to 9 to technically 89.99999% caution, and then kind of caution, danger, critical, and dead. You might be wondering, like, Nick, why didn't you just use false there? I've done that sort of implicit logic before, where you, rather than coding all the last if, you kind of just do like an else sort of process. And I found in the past, in Unreal terms, there's like brief moments where perhaps it shows the wrong status. Like well, it did do. There's no perhaps in this case. It did show the wrong status, so I explicitly define it, and that's why the falses only ever feed to another, like true if there's no false in charge of like that, like an else sort of logic. So doing like last one as else is what I'm saying. That's why it's done like that. A bit of extra surety. It's just not gonna do something weird. So this gets the health that's updated regularly on like on hit on any damage. That gets the enum, sets the enum. This then output on the enum, select, and then we have all these like. Let's press Q. I didn't do much good, but like fine. And then if we go to fine down here, you'll see fine is fine, and then we've got kinda fine, technically fine kinda. I've realized I've named it different. Let me change that. Nah. If there's a 50-50 chance of doing something, like if it's a true or false, I kid you not, it's not 50-50 chance for me. There we go. And then go through the thing. Same again, danger, and then critical and dead, and I'll just leave it as technically. Let's just leave it as critical. Not that it'll ever pop up, but I don't want it to. It looks at the moment. It looks like it's going up, doesn't it? Like you've recovered health. I don't have a dead there, so that's critical as well. That goes into here, so when you get damaged, it pops up there. I will showcase it. You'll see it. It works nice. It works nice and tidy. Upgrade item detail. This is where I discovered these, but I remembered I still had these buttons. If I go to widget, item interaction, detail, that's always been like a white block for ages. And then I realized I had like a weight notification. So like overweight, fine. And then that's kind of like neutral. So I've put on the items because it's neutral, isn't it? It's the item doesn't have a maximum weight of itself, so that's why it's neutral. Upgrade action menu. There are some bugs still floating about, but I tweaked the action menu to change from saying throw away to drop and split stack to split. I went into here and tidied up this process a bit. Like this was where the item is a consumable true, originally true, then collapse else visible, and if you see all the others, collapse is on the bottom. So I just changed it to is not true, and also I don't mind you throwing away your consumables. I've set it to quest, so you can't throw away quest items, so you can throw away everything else. Done that, and just a little bit of housekeeping. I just cast that as like it was already a variable, so I'll just get it to set it there. But it's not perfect, it's still got some issues, but let me show you what I've done. So if I go like this, so yeah, like this no longer takes double, so it only takes two credits as expected. We go like this, we go like that. You right click it, you see you've now got you've got a split. You shouldn't really have a split because what you're going to split, that's a bug I need to fix. But yeah, now we've got a drop, which works as drop. When I hover over it, weight is now rather than just being a white block. I am conscious you can barely read that writing, so it's to do with this screen. Really, I should output it to like 1080p rather than 1440p, and then see how it looks. But yeah, so we could drop that. Things like this, so it's just updating the weight thing. What else? Yeah, like you go to a level, it'll load up the bathroom as expected. We come out, it will load up that. We go through here. So you see all as expected, really. That's about it, to be honest. Oh yeah, I haven't been attacked yet. Look at the top right. It's fine. The word, the text is and the color is the old way. The button is the new way.
Danger.
There you go. So that's that sorted. Like another step on the way. You'll be glad to know the next branch is the lighting branch, which you see now. Look how dark it is, even on perspective or orthographic. So I have to do unlit to be able to see what you're doing. Oh, that was like weird then. My brain went funny. Yeah, so that's the next branch. Might need to look at some theory around it. By the look of it, I don't think it's as straightforward as just changing like what is it, like the shader? What's it called? What's it called? What's it called? Is it the material? Door. Like the material. I don't think it's as straightforward as me just changing the material from like custom lit. Yeah. Then Act 1 level creations. You can see Act 1's already been done here, but you might, if the eagle-eyed of you might have seen that when I loaded up the Act 1 variant of this and I clicked on the door, it was still pointing to _p rather than the A version. So things like that. These are just placeholders, like just pure copies. So a lot of that's maybe 50% of Act 1. Let's get the Enum up just so we can see. So P is Prologue, A1 is Act 1. So yeah, it's about 50%. There's new levels I'll be making, which are the communication room, the the armory, the hangar, hallway hangar, all these things, all the way up to there. What that'll entail is the new levels will be new levels, but the old levels will be new variants, so the texture will be updated. So you know, it's like a skin texture, like here. Like right now, you see I've got this. It might change. This can look awful, but there'll just be like an act. There'll be an Act 2 version of it, of that material for that Blender object. Door variants, I, I did a little bit of work on this very, 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 very quickly. Assets, items, interact no collect, door version 2. Did I create another one? Huh. Maybe not, maybe not. Maybe I haven't imported it. I've got I created a door where it had like scratch marks on it and like a bit of blood. So those sort of variants. Again, very very same thing as the levels, just changing the material. So for this it'll be changing like a sprite material. For this it will be changing the materials through technically still bright sprites, but I'll have to put it through a this. So I'll have to texture map it, stuff like that, because it's 3D. These are 3D models for the levels are 3D models. They're 2D sprites. Computer interaction. Yes, this is going to be fun stuff. Like imagine the lighting's done. We've got some fresh levels made. We've got some cool new doors made. This is the fun stuff. I did quickly discuss it last time when I discussed the future branches on the last vlog video. But you can see here I've already got the bones of it. So like you've got photo, map actually does work. Documents. So for anyone who likes Peep Show, this is the default text. Um, yeah. Um, yeah, and just using it and making more quest items, and I'll be making the interaction stuff, and then off the back of that I'll be making the new items. So new items, don't want to make this a long one for you, I don't want you to be bored out of your mind, but if I do the thumbnail variant with background, stuff like this. I've used Note once, barely used any of this other stuff, barely put in, I haven't put in half these items. Let me explain the color coding. Um, so their materials, their upgrades, their quest stuff. These are the bullets, so you know, like the tip. So I guess you'd say the bullet and the casing, or like the shell and the stuff like that. That's equipment. So non-weapon equipment. Yellow are stamina consumables. Red health consumables. Green infection consumables. Blue stress consumables. Then we have purple, like I guess you'd say slightly darker purple is weapon equipment, and slightly brighter purple, as you can see, I've not thought this through until this I'm speaking right now, are the weapons. So you see a bright purple. Hopefully you can see on the YouTube version of this. And then, but you see, I've got all these extra items, and they're just not being used. So the ones that currently have sprites will be created, and then this quest stuff will be created, and then I can take advantage of this. Be cool. AI sense. So I said before, the zombies are kind of like, like, did you ever play that mission space game where like rockets are coming and you've got to fire rockets to destroy it, to intercept the rockets and blow them up, and wherever you click is where the rocket goes, and you can't go like fly by wire or something, like move it a bit to the right, move it a bit to the left. It's wherever its initial destination is, that's where it goes. That's how the AI kind of works at the moment. Its initial hearing of a noise, its initial seeing of an enemy is where it goes, and then after it's done that, then it updates, and after it's done that, then it updates. I want to make it a bit slicker. Sketch the remaining level texture meshes, and then creating the remaining level texture meshes. So this is Act 2 and Act 3 stuff I'm mentioning here, and then just Bug Buster, because as you can imagine, bugs are growing. I'm squashing them, but certainly by July, with Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3, and all this extra stuff, there'll be new bugs. So just gonna blitz it like I did down here. So Bugbuster 1. You can see I just did a bunch of them. And that is everything. Thank you for your time. I don't think this one's going to take too long, and then I can maybe like a week, and then I can jump straight into doing new level creation. I'll create the new levels first, then I'll do the texture variants of the prologue levels, just so I get a bit of inspiration before just going in and just doing little minor tweaks to the current levels. But yeah, thank you, and see you later.